Welcome to The Criminologist, the podcast dedicated to educating and entertaining our listeners. This week, bringing you a special American Probation and Parole Association edition. As the voice of the community corrections industry, APPA serves as the field's leading professional membership association. In addition to their U.S. members, the American Probation and Parole Association is supported by international members who are actively involved in strengthening community corrections work in their own countries. APPA's International Relations Committee aims to connect community corrections professionals around the world to inspire and share insights from their unique experiences and best practices. Welcome to this special APPA episode of The Criminologist. And now, welcome your host, Joseph Arvidsson.
Hello and welcome to episode 189 of The Criminologist Podcast. Happy to have you all with us today. As noted in our opening, this week, bringing you a special American Probation and Parole Association hybrid edition, working in conjunction with our good friends on their International Relations Committee. Today's episode takes us on a profound journey through the transformative power of education and inner peace. Now, we begin with a revisit of the inspiring work of the Prem Rawat Foundation, a beacon of hope in a world often clouded by turmoil. We previously spoke with Willow Baker, Program Director of the Prem Rawat Foundation, back on episode 121 of the Criminologist Podcast. Now, Willow did such an amazing job of describing both the Prem Rawat Foundation and their peace education program that I decided to repurpose just a bit of that interview to set up my recent conversation with Billa Nanra, who, as you are about to hear, is a beneficiary of this great work. Now, at the heart of the Prem Rawat Foundation lies the Peace Education Program, an innovative initiative designed to help individuals discover and foster their own inner resources. This program, again directed by the insightful Willow Baker, has reached across borders, touching lives in over 80 countries and available in 40 different languages. But what does this mean for someone caught up in the web of the criminal justice system? To answer this, we turn to this week's guest, Billa Nanra, a man whose life story reads like a script from the movies. From the depths of a 22-year struggle with heroin to the confines of a British prison, Billa's journey is nothing short of extraordinary. Yet, it's in these unlikely places that he found a beacon of light through the Peace Education Program. In today's episode, we will listen to a segment of my previous interview with Willow Baker, delving into the philosophy and impact of the Peace Education Program. And then following that, we'll introduce the first part of Billa Nanra's gripping narrative, a tale of downfall, endurance, and eventual redemption. Join me as we unfold these compelling stories, offering a glimpse into the resilience of the human spirit and the power of education in forging paths to peace. Please enjoy my conversation with Billa Nanra, joining us all the way from his home in England, and I will see you all on the other side. Billa, so happy to have you here. Why don't we begin? You can introduce yourself to our listeners, but really highlight the journey you've been on, both your 22-year struggles with addiction and the portion of your life dealing with incarceration, and then we'll roll up our sleeves and get into some of these fantastic redemption stories here.
Thank you, Joe. Great to be here. So my name is Billa Nanra. I'm from the north of England in a city called Bradford. My parents are from India and from the Punjab region. I had a lovely upbringing. Went to scouts, clubs, did all the activities, played football mad. Love the greatest football team in the world, Manchester United, FYI. And just had a great upbringing, had great friends, schools trips. But as I was growing up, I think there was something missing. Soon as I got to like 12, 13, then comes in alcohol, cigarettes and girls. And my attention, unfortunately, was swayed. I was more focused on escaping reality, the troubles that I may perceive to have had at the time at home and growing up and puberty and understanding who I am in the world. It was a fun time at start, actually, Joe. Drinking, smoking, going to all the parties, and maybe get a quick snog in. If it was that sort of weekend, going ice skating. And that carried on for quite a few years until I got into college. But then, as everybody were graduating, like all my friends, all my support network, they were off to universities or they were getting, full-time jobs. I was still thinking I was the man at college, drinking with a girlfriend, couldn't tell me nothing. And it all went sideways, actually, Joe. My girlfriend broke up with me. My friends finally went to university, and I was in a world of hurt, really, and I didn't know how to deal with these emotions. So eventually I went to a friend's house to smoke a joint and maybe have a little drink of, I think it was rum and coke at the time, and he was smoking heroin, and he just offered it to me. Sometimes he'd smoke it there and I'd just have a smoke and a drink and not bother. But on that time, I wasn't in a good place. Maybe I'd have bust up with my family because they could see all I was doing was partying, drinking and whatnot, and not caring about my own life and being selfish, really. So when I had heroin for the first time, it was like, wow, I've got this comfort blanket. No one can touch me. And I thought I was slick with it, Joe. I thought, no one would know. It'd be like on a Tuesdays, and then that Tuesday would go to a Tuesday and a Sunday. And then it just slowly built up over the 6 months, a year, to every day, to where one day I woke up and I was physically, in England we call rattling, withdrawal symptoms I were going through. Like the goose pimple, turkey skin and all that, hot and cold flushes. And instead of stopping, I didn't deal with it, and I smoked more and more and more. And thinking back to it now, I was 22, 23 years I was smoking heroin, and then for the last 3 to 5 years, whilst I was in my drug haze, I had the bright idea of, why should I pay for my drugs? I might as well just deal, and I just get my drugs for free. And, I was, at the time, I had good jobs as well. I worked at in banks and tax offices and customer service. Yeah. I had jobs at bars and stuff like that. So on the outside, it perceived that I was doing well, but inside I was broken. And you could tell, I didn't, my state of well-being, I didn't have a car, or I didn't have a decent job, or I didn't have no direction, it was a lonely time. And the people that I mixed with out of not choice, out of necessity, and that sort of world is a dog eat dog sort of world. And I came across all sorts of, I don't want to say it, but all sorts of different sort of characters, and the underbelly of the city, for normal citizens driving around, not a problem. You know what I mean? Got to go pick up the kids. But me, even when I was in cars with like guns or whatever it may be, trackers for cars, and you know, I even got scared and I thought, wow, you know, the guns, the drugs, kidnappings, all sorts of, you know, goes right in your communities, and you know, you're unaware of it because you're a law-abiding citizen. You know what I mean? Unless you're in that world, you wouldn't see it. So I had the bright idea to save face to get married. So my parents introduced me to someone, and you know, I said, okay, I'll marry her. You know, just to show that air of like normality. You know, a functioning person in society. You know, he's got his kid, wife, and building a future. And of course, that within a year and a half felt like faster than a deck of cards. Really, my own fault. And that's when I really pressed the self-destruct button. My parents had enough, kicked me out. I was homeless. And that's when I picked up the dealing more and eventually found an all-expenses-paid trip to her, or it's His Majesty's prison now. And in 2018, 9th of August, I landed there. I was a broken man, come straight off the prison van, which we call a sweat box. But I had an air of optimism. You know, I thought I felt a little bit liberated because what I was doing, I wasn't happy. I really wasn't. I might have had the jewelry and the cars and, you know, the fast women, etc., all the trappings, as they say, but I wasn't happy. Within myself, I knew it. And coming to prison, I saw it as an opportunity to change my life around. If not, the drugs and all the carry on, it's not going nowhere. You know, let me take this opportunity to get off the drugs and try change, because I couldn't do it, Joe, in the community. I really couldn't. You know, it was just too much temptation. I went to rehabs and stuff like that. They didn't work. But when I came to prison, I had my mind switched on. In a lot of ways, you know, I didn't have a girlfriend. I didn't have to worry about losing a house or a job or anything. You know, I just had this focus on just trying to change my life around. And I remember sat on C-wing, which we call Beirut for obvious reasons. I was just looking around the wing and I thought, I don't want this. I want to be happy. And that has always stuck with me. Even to this day, my number one goal in life is just to be happy. That's all. You know, I don't need much. If things come and go. You know, I stay with me all the time. So that, and then whilst I was in the medication line for my methadone, because I was on 30 mil of methadone, and I saw the Peace Education poster on the wall.
As we've just heard from Billa, his journey took him to the depths of despair, a path marked by the harrowing grip of addiction and the cold, stark reality of prison life. It was within these walls, amidst a life he never envisioned, that Billa encountered a ray of hope, a simple poster that introduced him to the Peace Education program. This brings us to an integral part of today's episode, a deeper understanding of the very program that began to alter Billa's life. We turn to Willow Baker, the program director at the Prem Rawat Foundation. In a segment from our previous interview, Willow shares the vision and mission behind the foundation and its signature program. The Prem Rawat Foundation, established with the goal of addressing fundamental human needs, peace, dignity, and prosperity, has been a catalyst for change globally. The Peace Education Program, a cornerstone of the Foundation's work, is not just an educational curriculum. It's a journey towards self-discovery and inner peace. Designed to help individuals like Billa find personal strength and clarity amidst chaos, the program has weighed its way into various settings, including prisons. Let's listen to Willow as she elaborates on how this program fosters transformation and nurtures hope, even in the most unexpected places. After which, we will return to Billa's compelling narrative to hear how this program impacted his life.
Thank you, Joe. Well, Prem Rawat is, in my opinion, an amazing person with a unique perspective on peace and other aspects of life. He's a best-selling author, peace educator, pilot, who has dedicated his life to inspiring people to experience the source of peace within themselves. His work spans now 6 decades of international efforts to bring a practical message of hope, happiness, and peace. One thing that I really, really appreciate from his talks, the excerpts of which are in the Peace Education Program, is his unconditional positive regard. So many people who go through the Peace Education Program comment, how did he know me? How did he know my background? Why? This isn't possible. Why are all these other people here? He's talking just to me. And I had the same experience when I first heard him speak too. So he has founded the Prem Rawat Foundation to advance dignity, peace, and prosperity by addressing the fundamental human needs of food, water, and peace. As he puts it, it's hard to speak to someone about peace if their stomach is grumbling because they're really, really hungry. So the Prem Rawat Foundation has established 3 centers called Food for People, one in Ghana, one in Nepal, and one in India, where we work with local NGOs to provide good, clean, local food and water, food that people find really delicious. And surprising, this is mostly for the children and the elderly. And in all of those locations, the schools have had to, educational systems have had to add new schools. Crime has gone down and health has increased just because people are getting good, clean food and water. The foundation also provides humanitarian aid to various NGOs around the world, like currently for COVID and for victims of the war in the Ukraine. I think that anyone going through the Peace Education Program can expect to have a good time. The experience is individual. So each person going through the course will experience it differently. The course does not try to define or prescribe what individual peace is. It's left to each participant to discover that for themselves. But I think that anyone going through the course would say that they know themselves better afterwards. Actually, Prem Rawat describes it sometimes as an introduction to yourself. So I think you'll enjoy yourself. You will definitely hear a unique perspective on 10 themes. And those themes are peace, appreciation, inner strength, self-awareness, clarity, understanding, dignity, choice, hope, and contentment. The course is strength-based, so you won't be discovering what your weaknesses are, but you will be focusing on the good person, the strengths that you have. And again, there's that unconditional positive regard, both through the course materials and the facilitator. I could give you some examples of different kinds of people who've gone through the course because it's used in many different sectors. It wasn't designed for any specific sector. And that's actually one thing that a lot of people like about it. So in drug rehab, it wasn't designed for drug rehab. It wasn't designed for probation. It was designed for human beings. So several people who are incarcerated have said, if I'd heard this before, I wouldn't be here in this place wearing this uniform. An Australian Aboriginal person said that she gained a deeper understanding of her culture and a stronger connection to nature. People who have struggled in school and had to drop out of school for one reason or another find that they have gained confidence and are happy to continue studying because they finally completed a course successfully. One probation officer noted that she had a greater understanding of where to find peace and helped her deal with the stressors of her profession. Often within groups, and this was particularly true in Trinidad and Tobago, there were people from very different cultures and religions. And they listened to each other's reflections and realized they didn't agree with each other, but that was okay. So there was the development of empathy. So at one domestic violence intervention court, they went through the course and found it to be a team building course, which it wasn't designed to be that way. But they found that the peace education program solidified their collaboration, helped them get to know each other more personally, and gave them what they described as a collective language from which to communicate that has significantly improved their team's ability to communicate. So as I said, it's not designed for any specific sector or any type of person.
Willow Baker's insights into the peace education program truly highlight the profound impact such initiatives can have, not just on individuals, but on the fabric of society itself. This program, with its focus on inner strength and personal peace, offers a beacon of hope, even in the most challenging circumstances. As we reconnect with Billa Nanra's story, we find him at a pivotal moment. Amidst the bleakness of prison life, his eyes fall upon a poster, a simple yet powerful beacon that would ignite a journey of profound transformation. This poster, representing the peace education program, stood out as a contrast to the stark walls of his cell, promising something that had become foreign to him: hope. Let's dive back into Billa's interview. Listen closely as he describes this critical juncture, the moment he first discovered the possibility of change, and how this encounter with the peace education program began to reshape his perspective on life, paving the way for a journey towards redemption and inner peace.
And it was above like some phone boxes, and it were all tattered and everything, and it had all the words like peace, appreciation, inner strength, choice, dignity, hope. I thought, I'll have a bit of that. You know, I'm here in prison, and at that time I was coming I was getting all my education, maths, English. I became a prison mentor. One of the roles was Shannon Trust, which worked with people with reading and writing disabilities. And if you've seen any prison movies, Joe, I had the best job. I was a library orderly, so I was able to just walk around. I didn't quite have the trolley, but, you know, I was able to get around. So that was quite humbling, and just doing something positive with my life. And then eventually I reduced off the methadone to nothing within 3 months. I was the only person in the prison of 1,200 people in HMP Leeds that were doing that. And in our country, Joe, I think about 70-75% people that go to prison have drug-related offences, you know, if they're using or mainly using. So there's quite a lot of people in there. And I'll always remember, the first peace education program that I went to. I did it just to for something different, but it got me out of my cell, got me off the wing. I could have a brew and a biscuit, a piece of pen and a paper, they're all wins. But there was something in one of the workshops that was said that always stuck with me. And it's, on average, how many days, if you live for 70 years, how many days do you think you get to live? And, as most people, I'm thinking, oh, well, I've got millions of days, hundreds of thousands of days. And the number come back to me at 25,550 days. And I had to pause. I thought, that doesn't sound a lot. It really doesn't. So after the session, I went back to my pad, my cell, and I got this like thick red marker and wrote on the wall 25,550 days. Good job the officer didn't see me, because I would have got a warning. Yeah, seriously, it's no joke. And then I worked out my age, which I won't tell you because I've got good Indian genes, even though the listeners can't see, but I'm doing good. And I worked out what my expected sentence was, because I was looking at a naughty double-digit sentence. Luckily, a few charges got dropped, but I'll come on to that. And it just gave me that sense of purpose to, nobody knows how many days we get to live. Yesterday is gone, maybe learn from it, I guess. Tomorrow's not even promised. It really isn't. So it's all about here and the now and making the most of today. That's what counts. And that's what I took away from that. And that's what I've been doing. I've just been building on today, and then automatically my future is better. And my past as well, it leaves behind as well. So my past is good as well. So it's like a leveling up all the time. And so I just ran with it. Eventually, I started helping out the volunteers. A big shout out to the beautiful volunteers that come out for the, don't get paid, come out, take the time out of the day to do, going to prisons. It was never lost on me, humbling as well that, these people came into prison. They wasn't there to put me behind my door or, anything like that. They come out of the goodness of my heart. So a lot of love to the volunteers. And I started facilitating, and I started helping out, getting up in front of the prisoners and, just help with expressions, any comments, and maybe do an intro or an outro. And that's what I do, what I've been doing since I got out of prison, going back into prisons. But just to go back, so 2018, 2019, I was in HMP Leeds until I got transferred to another prison. And when I went to another prison, it was lockdown. There were no movement, etc. But I still kept in touch with some of the volunteers. They used to send me emails and stuff that on a transcript on a certain YouTube video, for example, by Prem Rawat. They used to come in like 15 pages deep every day, and the officers used to look at me and like, whoa, what's up with this guy, but once I explained to them, they were all right, and as I was a mentor anyway.
Billa, let's focus on the next chapter of your life, that of post-prison release. There is an excellent documentary entitled The Road from Crime. If my listeners have never seen this documentary, I encourage you to track it down and watch it immediately. But there's a portion of the documentary when they're talking to individuals such as yourself with lived experience, and I'm paraphrasing here, but essentially the theme is that for those individuals, the real punishment started after they walked out those prison doors. Talk to us about what your experience was like after you left prison in England.
Finally, the day came, 7th of October, 2020, a day I will never forget. No longer am I just a number, A50, 52, EF. Because as you know, you go to prison, your dignity, your name, everything's stripped off you. You marched in there like the day you were born. and then just given these prison issue clothes and a little itchy and scratchy blanket and a plastic plate and plastic knife and fork. You're not going to know, Joe, how much you even miss just eating off a ceramic plate with proper knife and forks. It took a minute for me to adjust. So I was up in the north of England, further north. So I got kicked out with a discharge grant of £46, and I had maybe £50 in my prison account, and I was given a map and a travel pass and just kicked out the door. There you go, son. But not a problem for me. I came out and I was like, wow, look at the sky, look at the birds, look at the trees. And I'm even like that now. I have so much appreciation, and that's what it's given me, some gratitude and appreciation for just having air in my lungs and 2 arms, 2 legs, and just being here, alive now. Mother Earth is here before us, and we're just visitors, and it'll be here way after us, until we turn back to dust or however. So when I came out, I got in touch with the volunteers, and that's where someone I know offered me the job as a personal assistant, as a carer for whose daughter's who's autistic. So the thinking of that, she'd seen me in prison, how I'd transformed, and I'd kept in touch with her, and she trusted me enough to offer me a job by looking after her daughter, which is the most valuable thing. Something that I do to this day, and have, very proud of it. So that allowed me not to go on to benefits. I didn't need to be a drain on society. The 1 or 2 days that I was doing, I was able to stand on my own 2 feet. So I was very, very lucky and humble to have that job. And with the volunteers as well, we started to see how because my plan was, the plans that I've had, Joe, was I made them all in prison. I didn't wait to come out of prison and go, right, I'm thinking about, should I do this or do that? I made the plan whilst I was in prison, and I thought, when I get out, I can hit the ground running. But due down to some, I don't know if it was some bat soup in China about some COVID outbreak, but it eventually got to the UK, and it was all on lockdown, as you know. And so we decided to use the Zoom platform to do peace education programs, which are well-being and empowerment sessions, all based around Prem Rawat's international presentations, where he goes into universities, prisons, school, a wide range of different settings. And these are just workshops like peace, appreciation, choice, as I mentioned. And it's a way of you to connect with yourself and just think about things in a different light and make conscious decisions and have hope and, try and make some sort of sense of, who you are as a person. That's one of the cornerstones. It's an old Socrates saying, know thyself. And that's always stuck with me as well. And there's little videos and stuff just to get the point across. Like one of my favourite ones is there's 2 wolves. There's one good wolf and there's one bad wolf. It's an old native Indian story. And the guy's asking the chief, why is the person that's good sometimes do bad things and the person that's bad sometimes do good things? And the chief just says, it's the one that you feed. The wolf that you feed will win, and it's like a battle within yourself. So I always use that, even to this day when I have a little situation, because, I don't care who you are, everybody has problems, but it's how you deal with them. So I just rather focus on the positive things as opposed to the negative things that's causing it. I'd rather look at the solutions and do, sometimes, a lot of times, the things are out of my control, but the things that I can deal with directly, I'll keep on top of. So these sessions were open out to the community, working with my friends, Celebrate Life down London, and we're going strong today. I think we're up at about, it's 176 sessions on the bounce since I don't know what year it was, but you can work out the weeks, guys. And we're still going strong now.
Congratulations. And from that amazing experience with your friends at Celebrate Life, you continued down the multimedia rabbit hole, if you will. I'm so excited about this. And yes, I will embed the YouTube link within the episode description of this podcast. But talk about your collaboration with the Prem Rawat Foundation, creating your Slaying the Dragon video.
Slowly, we started talking about doing a documentary because the filmmakers. So we teamed up with the Prem Rawat Foundation, and we did a short 11.5-minute, 12-minute documentary showing my journey, which is on YouTube now. So maybe Joel put the link in later, but you can just put in Billa Nanra TPRF, and just to show my journey, my backstory, and it only shows me coming out of prison. So for the last 3 years, I've done so much. I'm looking at recording part 2, in fact. So we'll get back to you on the next episode, guys, about that. But in the community, I just kept busy. I was one of my proudest moments was working with an organisation in Manchester called Families Against Violence, FAV, and they're based in the north of England, in Manchester, as I said, and they provide football, a release. They hire out leisure centres, and they've got all different age ranges. Just recently, they've got a girls' football team, and they've done something for the immigrants that have come over as well, which to integrate them into society through football. So they're like this amazing organisation. So I was able to go over there after speaking with James, the founder and CEO, to see if I could do some workshops for the kids. And these are they're mainly Afro-Caribbean, Somali background, a lot of trauma, single-parent families, a lot of poverty, that sort of thing. So we put a bid in, or they did put a bid in for Marcus Rashford, who is a Manchester United player. He did an initiative in the community to end child poverty, and that was based around kids going hungry through school holidays. One of the things going to school, you could get a free meal, but then when the holidays came round, there wasn't, they wouldn't get any food. So we set this up to give them some food, give them some football, and then I'd come in and do some peace education workshops and to build their self-esteem and self-worth and confidence, and we actually had quite a few star pupils that I keep in touch today, they're doing so amazing things. It's really nice to see. So I've been doing that in the summers and Christmas, but recently I hadn't been able to do it this year because I had other commitments, but I keep in touch and pop down when I can. So that's been nice. And then also I worked with Shannon Trust on the Out, which I was one of their mentors in prison, to go to an Unlocked Graduates seminar at St Trinity's University in Leeds, and that was to about 80 trainee officers that were about to go into prison. They did this 2-year course to get trained up in the ins and outs, and then they'd go on the wings, on the landings in prison once they finished or completed. And we did a speech about the importance of reading and writing and identifying people that might be struggling. There's a lot of shame attached, especially when you're 40, 50-year-old man and can't even write your own name. I had maybe 9 clients, 9 people that I would do one-to-one work, and 2-3 of them couldn't even write the name. So, and we worked on writing his name and writing a little card to his kid. And he was just so happy, and he even got a letter back, and he brought it to session. He was like, "Oh, read it for me." And so, and hopefully he's going strong. I won't mention his name, but there's a lot of good people, that just get caught through the system, I guess. So that was an important one with the Shannon Trust. And I was even invited to go to a school in Leicester, in the East Midlands of England, a PRU school, which stands for Pupil Referral Unit. And these are like, quote unquote, like the naughty kids, as to say, that can't function in a normal classroom. And I did a little presentation, like hour and a half. I went through my stories, and I got all the questions, like, what was the food like? Did you go to the gym, and how long did you do? What did you go in for? And they were quite engaged with it, but I kept it real with them. I says, end of the day, we all have choices. The choices come with consequences. They can either be good or they can either be bad, but you have the power to make a conscious decision. So they actually did take something from it. So possibly I'll go back to that.
As we reach the conclusion of part 1 of Billa Nanra's extraordinary journey, it is clear that his story is one of profound transformation and, more importantly, of giving back. What we've witnessed is a remarkable example of generativity, a concept in the desistance literature that speaks to the process of contributing to society and the next generation as a means of personal redemption. Billa's experience, as harrowing as it was, became a foundation for change, not just for himself, but for others. His participation in the peace education program within the confines of prison was not just the beginning. Upon his release, Billa embarked on a mission fueled by his own trials and triumphs. His YouTube video, Slaying the Dragon, produced by the Prem Rawat Foundation, is not just a narrative of his struggles and victories. It's a beacon of hope for those fighting their own battles. It is a reminder that change is possible and redemption is within reach. Furthermore, Billa's engagement with at-risk youth is a testament to his commitment to generativity. Speaking to young people about the perils of delinquency and the harsh realities of incarceration, he offers a raw, unfiltered perspective that only someone who has walked that difficult path can provide. His voice is not just of warning, but also of encouragement and possibility. As we conclude this episode, we leave you with a sense of anticipation for what is to come in part 2. Billa's journey continues, and with it, deeper insights into his transformation and how he is using his experiences to influence and inspire others. We will delve further into his post-prison release life, exploring the continued impact of the peace education program and his ongoing efforts to contribute positively to society. Join us next time on the Criminologist Podcast as we continue to unravel the inspiring tale of Billa Nanra, a man who turned his life around and now dedicates himself to helping others do the same. In the meantime, you may contact the show or reach out to us through our website, theparagongroup.llc.com, for training or presentations as to core correctional skills, the topic of desistance from crime, or information as to our TIDES model, our trauma-informed desistance model. If you have questions or comments as to this podcast, feel free to contact the show via our email at thecriminologistpodcast@gmail.com. That's thecriminologistpodcast@gmail.com. Remember to follow us through our Facebook and Instagram pages at The Criminologist Podcast. New fun images are being added all the time to those feeds. You don't want to miss out. The Criminologist Media Group is also on X, formerly known as Twitter. Give us a follow at Crim Media Group. That's CRIM Media Group. You may also connect with me, Joseph Arvidsson, or Billa Nanra on LinkedIn, and follow both the Criminologist Podcast and the Paragon Group on our LinkedIn pages. Hey, lastly, if you've not already done so, check out and subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Criminologist, for additional content as to the themes of this podcast. And if you believe in what we're doing on the show, if you're part of the movement, please spread the word, tell a friend or a coworker or a colleague about us. Ask them to subscribe to the podcast, and of course, do so yourself if you've not already done so. And always remember, folks, there's no them, there's only us.
The underbelly of the city, for normal citizens driving around, not a problem, you know what I mean? Got to go pick up the kids. But me, even when I was in cars with like guns or whatever it may be, trackers for cars, and I even got scared and I thought, wow, the guns, the drugs, kidnappings, all sorts of goes right in your communities, and you're unaware of it because you're a law-abiding citizen.
This has been a special APPA edition of the Criminologist Podcast. Their international relations team looks forward to sharing the insights of other subject matter experts from around the world in future episodes. The Criminologist Podcast is a production of the Paragon Group, LLC. For speaking engagements, interviews, program design, or training opportunities, please visit us at theparagongroup.llc.com. Be sure to give us a 5-star review, and thanks for listening.